Next. There we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Outside the Box, the podcast devoted to supporting Central PA's small business. With us today, we have Kathy Bucher, and I asked her how to pronounce her name before the show this time. So Kathy Bucher with us today from Transformation Martial Arts for Children, and we will get with her in a minute. I'm your host, as usual, Derek Bixler, realtor and digital marketing geek right here in Central PA. You can see last week, if you watched last week, you saw that I was trying out a new mic situation. I had little earbuds and a little lapel mic, lavalier mic, whatever you call them, because I wanted to get rid of all this. But I did not like the sound of it. So I'm back to this, and we're going to figure out another. I actually have another window here, nice new mic that I'm looking at. But anyway, I'm Derek Bixler, your host on this old setup here. I grew up on the Hill in Harrisburg, went to Mechanicsburg High School, went to Penn College of Technology up in Williamsport, and have been back here ever since. Had a few sales jobs before I started selling real estate 15 glorious years ago. If you need to buy or sell a home, please reach out to me. You can text me, email me, throw a rock through my window, send a carrier pigeon, whatever you need to do. We need houses and inventory, but it's not quite as crazy as it was for a while there. So if you are a buyer, it's a good time to get back out there and start looking at houses again. A reminder to subscribe to our weekly email at supportcentralpa.com. And you will get our networking mixer invites and updates, episode announcements, and exclusive special offers, of which you will have one from Kathy and Transformation Martial Arts at the end of the show. A reminder to ask a question in the comments, or if you just know one of us, please comment and say where you're watching from. Meaning, I know we're all Central PA, so say Carlisle or Gettysburg or Boiling Springs, maybe. And we're going to talk about Boiling Springs. Also, a reminder that replays are on YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and all the places. And this might be the first episode to go on iTunes and all the audio platforms. So that's very exciting. May not be that exciting for you, Kathy, but it is for me. I've decided I'm not going to try to upload all the 100 because that's what was stopping me from getting it on there. There's 100, 200 episodes to upload. So now I'm just going to start with the next episode. So you're probably going to be that first episode to be available to listen in your earbuds on iTunes and Stitcher and Google Play and all those places. So, yeah, without further ado, let's bring in Kathy Bucher of Transformation Martial Arts for Children. And we have, I will point out also before I bring you in, we have a networking mixer at your place, which is somewhat new, which we'll talk about tomorrow. And what time did we say that is? Noon, right?
Yes.
Yeah, tomorrow at noon. So if you're not registered, hit up Christy Hoffman and see if you can still come to that. You probably can, and they're always fun to come to. And now I will shut up and bring in Kathy Bucher of Transformation Martial Arts. Hello, Kathy. Thank you for being with us.
Hi. Thanks for having me. This is a treat.
Yeah. And we talked about your background. I love your background. It's very zen and goes along with your whole what you do and your motif and everything. Let's start by telling everybody a little bit about where you grew up. It was in Central PA. Tell us about that and your experience here in Central PA growing up.
Well, I grew up in Boiling Springs, outside of Boiling Springs area, in a little place called Craighead Station. It had a feed mill, and it's along the creek, and it had a lumber mill and a train that went right by my house. So it was a really great, nice place to grow up in. A lot of country scenery, played in the creek a lot.
So would that be the Yellow Breeches or what?
Yeah, the Yellow Breeches goes right through there.
So is that like Churchtown or what? I live there. I sell houses. I don't know what'd you call it? Creek Station?
Craighead Station. It used to be a train stop there. And it's it's off of 174, and it's closer to Mount Holly on that side of Boiling Springs.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. Nice. That's under, Boiling Springs and that area, the whole South Middleton and that school district and everything were very underestimated area. I think at some point it's going to couch. I love Mount Holly Springs, the little downtown there and everything.
That's actually where I live now. So I didn't move far from where I grew up. So I live in Mount Holly Springs now with my daughter and her significant other and our several pets that were all rescued. And I also have a son who lives in Colorado. So they're both in their 20s. So we have a nice community together that we live at the house in Mount Holly. What else can I tell you? Well, I guess I'll just start with when I first started after high school. What I did is I worked for PPG Industries, which was it's called Vectron now, I think. But that was quite an interesting job coming out of high school. It was shift work. And after 5 years, I found out that I really did not like that kind of work. It was invasive. It just took over your life. You made good money, but it wasn't really what I was looking for. So then I went to college to learn a new trade. And so I ended up getting an associate's degree as a paralegal. And then after being a paralegal, I worked as I worked at a paralegal in an office in Harrisburg. So
can you say who? They're still around, good, reputable people? You can feel free to plug people if they're good or you feel like it.
I don't think it's together. It was a law firm called Hepford, Swartz, Menaker, and Morgan. And I worked with them for a couple of years. And then I went to the state and I worked at the Department of Commerce, which I don't think it's called that anymore. I think it's called Economic Development. And so I worked there for 5 years and I really liked the job. It was a lot of task work and you got to travel and give out loans to minorities or big businesses or even tech loans. So that was fun to do that, traveling all through the state. So I got to see all the different parts of the state. And then my children came. I had been married and then had my children, and I decided that I just really could not work and raise my children at the same time effective. So I was able, and very luckily able, to stay at home with my children and raise them. So then it takes me to raising them. And then at that point, I got divorced probably when they were 5 and 8. So I had to reinvent myself. I had to get back out there into the field and start to figure out what I wanted to do next. During that time, I had taken my son to martial arts classes. And I just wanted him to learn self-control, self-discipline. I thought it was a good outlet for him. And I thought, well, this is great. I can take him there. I can just sort of just watch him and relax a little bit from my mother duties. And it ended up being encouraged to come onto the floor. And I thought, okay, well, I've always taken aerobics and step aerobics and all kinds of physical activity. And I thought, okay, I'll give this a shot. And that's where it all began. I got on the floor and it just changed my life. I really took to it and I really liked it. So,
so the martial arts came later in life. So one of my questions really a lot of times. Yeah. I'm thinking about getting into it actually. Maybe you can help me. So you weren't into it when you were younger, obviously. And one of my questions is always to go back and see if you liked doing what you do now back then. So when you were a kid, even, elementary up through high school, what were you doing back then? Were you playing sports? Were you playing in the creek? Were you doing martial arts? What did you like to do then? Were you paralegaling back
No, I was not. Everything just came as a surprise. So when I was growing up, I was in the band. I did do some sports. I did track, but just never really took to the group sports. So the band really was a fun outlet for me.
What instrument?
I started with a clarinet in elementary school, and for some really weird reason, it snapped in half. And so my dad said, okay.
Some really weird reason.
Yeah. No,
you didn't sit on it or anything.
No, I think that my sister had it before me and she might've done something to it and it was just passed down. It's like, oh, here's a clarinet. You can be in the band. And so it broke and my dad said, well, here's a trumpet. So play the trumpet. And I'm like, okay. So I started the trumpet and I played that until about 7th or 8th grade. And then I had to get braces and I could not play the trumpet with the braces. It was cutting into my lip. So the band director said that maybe I could try a bigger instrument, and that was the baritone. So that's a big brass instrument. Not as big as a sousaphone. It's not that huge thing that goes over that big
Is it still the same type of mouthpiece as? I played trumpet also. So is it still a brass mouthpiece? So it's still pushing pretty hard, right?
It goes around the mouth larger, so it's not such a small embouchure, they call it. So it's the same as a trombone, I think, and maybe the sousaphone.
A tuba?
Tuba. It's like a mini tuba.
Okay. All right.
Tuba. Yeah.
And where's the French horn fit in there somewhere?
Somewhere in the middle. So there's also another instrument that's even smaller than that. I can't remember what the name of that instrument's called. But yeah, I played baritone and I really enjoyed it. Yeah. And that's where I met my boyfriend, actually, my current boyfriend right now. We were in band together and lost touch after high school. And then 30 years later, we connected again, and here we are dating. So it's been a really neat ride.
Yeah, well, I got a couple questions about that. Number one, are you playing your instruments again? Did it spark you to start playing again, or maybe you never stopped? What
Yeah,
are you playing them?
Yeah, I always wanted to do it, but I've never been able to purchase it. So the baritone was part of the school district. So to find a baritone, I just never was able to, or I just didn't have the initiative to go find one. But yeah, I still would love to play one again. I think I don't know if he would, but
What did he play? Did you say?
he played the baritone. We were side by side.
Oh, who was higher chair? Were you first chair, second chair, third chair, both first chair?
He was first. I was second. And he was older than me. So, and that was fine. I didn't like, you had to play all the solos when you're first chair. I'm okay with that. I don't need solos.
Yeah. All the people that were in band are loving this conversation. All the people that weren't are like, what are they talking about? Was there a marching band too? You did like orchestra and marching band?
Yeah, we did the marching band, but not to the effect that they do today, like in Carlisle, where my son had done marching band, or CV, where they compete. We went down for a trip to Virginia Beach, and we did a competition down there, and we practiced for that. But mostly the marching band was to have halftime shows and have concert bands and things like that.
Yeah, not the big, I mean, it's a big thing now, right? With all the dancing and it's not just a band.
Yeah. That's a huge commitment. I got to see my son do that, and it was fun, but it's like every weekend, and you're practicing every day. So I got to experience that through him, of driving him back and forth to the school every day and picking him up late at night on Saturday nights.
Well, that's awesome. So how did you connect with your current boyfriend? And you can say his name if you want to shout him out, or if he wants to be anonymous, that's fine too. But
his name's Mark, and he lives in Baltimore. So he went a whole different direction. But Facebook out of the blue. So it's like, oh, this could be a friend request. Like, oh, I haven't seen this gentleman for like 30 years. It was crazy. So yeah, you never know what's going to happen in life.
And is he doing martial arts now or in the past?
No, he's not a martial artist. He's more like a fisherman, hunter, things like that. More fisherman now, but that's the kind of things he likes to do.
So then what made you go into the paralegal field? Was it just kind of HACC is there, which is a great school, by the way, for anybody out there that's looking for a place to go. Was it just kind of picking something that you thought you could get a job in, or did you like paperwork or the legal field, or what was the plan there?
I think it was the legal world. I was interested in. My dad was a lobbyist for in Harrisburg. And so watching him do what he did, and traveling and walking and going to Harrisburg every day, I just felt like, I'll give that a shot. Maybe even had a conversation with him about it. I'm not sure. But I decided to pick that, and I enjoyed it a lot. It's a lot of task work, and that's what I like doing. It's organizing, doing task work, paperwork with that, meeting people, greeting people. So it just seemed to go well with me at that time.
So as a lobbyist, does he work? That's like a law firm that has clients that they lobby for and help to lobby for, or did he work for?
He worked for a private
company or something.
It was a private entity. It was actually.
I was going to say big tobacco or big oil, but those would have negative connotations. So he could be working for big tulips or something.
Well, actually, he worked for and was instrumental in helping the chiropractic world be recognized. Chiropractic in the 80s, 70s was shunned by the medical field. And so he was lobbied by that group to help them become a presence. And what he did is he organized it, and he sent out newsletters and got them what do you call it? got them all together. There's a better word for that, but you got them together and worked out some details on how to get the insurance companies to recognize chiropractic as a viable health I don't know what the word is.
Alternative. Yeah, I know what you mean. And there's probably certifications that have to be set up through that make it more legitimate, that certify them and license them and all that kind of stuff. And associations, I'm sure there is or was an association created where they can all mastermind and lobby for themselves.
Right. And it was an uphill battle because the medical field was fighting that hard, and anything you try to start something new, you have to be perseverant. You have to have perseverance to get through that. And he did. And so now you see chiropractors everywhere, and they're a viable way to be healed in different ways. And they've grown as an entity itself. So, yeah. So maybe that's what he did. He helped a group of people. And maybe that's part of what I'm bringing forth in my martial arts, helping a group of people to succeed and to become their potential.
Yeah, in essence, he was helping people, and he helped a lot of people, and down the line, he's helping people with their back. I mean, do you see a chiropractor now?
Not regularly, but there are times when I'm like, oh, I need to go see someone. And just the neck is something I did to the neck. Probably like when I do a crazy martial arts kick or something that sometimes, or rolls or something, you just do it wrong. And sometimes you just need a little help with that and get it back into square. But most of the time, I'm pretty good.
So you had a little bit you saw legal things in your life and saw that represented by your father. And that's what kind of gave you the idea to go into the legal field. When you got out of school and started doing it, was it what you expected? Tell us how you felt about it and why you wanted to move on from it.
Well, I don't think you actually know what to expect when you go into a new field. I just knew that PPG, that kind of shift work, was just not something I wanted to do the rest of my life. So picking that, maybe it was just an intuitive sense, but I worked at you can work in different aspects in that field too, which was helpful. So I started out as doing real estate, where you do paperwork for people to buy a home. So you do the taxes part, and you see if there's a word for that. I'm trying to think of what the word is. I really don't have words today when I'm on camera.
That happens.
But when you're a realtor, you have people examine the files at the courthouse, the deeds and things like that, to make sure that there's no encroachment on the property, there's no liens on it. So that's where I started with that. And then I went on to
title searches.
Title search, exactly. Thank you. So the next part was I went to a law firm and I worked at the 3 Mile Island investigation after we had that accident at 3 Mile Island, and there was a class action suit. So that law firm represented the clients. And so I would be working in the field with the experts, and I took them out to editors and things like that to see what damages were done. And he pointed out some really interesting things about how the TMI, how those plumes or how the gas escaped actually made such an impact on the environment. The no bees in Goldsboro, how they touched down and killed trees in some areas. And then a lot of people contracted cancer from that. So my job was to document anything, update anything that those clients would call me and tell me about. And it was heartbreaking, but yet I was a go-between, and I was able to be that person to talk to about their experiences with that. So you were Aaron Brockovich. Is that who the movie is about? Isn't that who? Kind of like what you're describing, right? She was for water sourcing, and yeah, I think it was for radiation and things like that. I didn't go that far, but that's awesome of her doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So we got a real life Erin Brockovich on this because it sounds like because she was a
No.
paralegal. I think she wasn't an attorney. She started out. She was just investigating it for whoever she worked for or something.
Right.
I think.
She was
Yeah.
a whistleblower in her time, and she went the next stage. I left before they had finished with the investigation. I went and then I worked for the state at that point, and I worked as a paralegal. And again, I was back into real estate at that point, and I really enjoyed that aspect of it too.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So then you had kids,
Yeah,
and you stayed home with them for a while. You said, right?
yeah, it changed my whole life. I did try to go back to work. I was going to go back to the state, and I started looking into daycares, and I just couldn't do it. Not because of the money. I just couldn't find that place in me that wanted someone else to raise my children. I wanted to be the one to see the first talk, the first walk. I wanted to be the person instrumental in their growing up. And like I said, I was very lucky to be able to stay at home and be supported in that as we raised the children. So that was the first 5 years or 8 years of my children's lives that I got to raise them. So, and that's where the real learning begins.
That's where all the patience comes in anyway, right? You learn a lot of patience when you start having kids, especially more power to you. I'm very involved with the kids, but every day, all day at home with them, I don't think I could take that.
Well, I think they teach us what we are not so good at. I really thought I had a lot of patience, but you're not tested until you have children. And then you find, oh, well, my parents raised me this way. Is this the way I want to connect with my children? So I read lots of books, and I wanted to be the best mom I could and have a peaceful life for them and encourage them to be authentic, to be who they need to be without me trying to steer them because I think that's what's best for them. I'm steering them in a way as a parent does of harm, but also I wanted them to be free to live the life that they needed to live with my encouragement and with my guidance. So
when you finally took them to do martial arts and then you got talked into doing it also, what did you say, whether it was it their idea or your idea, or was it just, I saw a karate movie, Mom, I want to go do karate, and you went to go see it? What sparked going to do it that first time?
We just saw a sign in a mall, and I thought, oh, this might be good. My son was entering middle school. That's a war zone. So with the kids having to deal with each other, and they're not watched over as much as elementary school. And I just thought that would be a great outlet for him to learn some confidence training, learn how to stand up for himself, and to grow from that. I think I talked to him about it, and he was open to it. And so I just enrolled him in some classes, and we just started with that. He stuck with it for a while. My daughter took it a little bit, but like, nah, she's not into it. She didn't want to do that. And he stuck to it about a couple years, I would say, maybe 3 years. But then he fell out and started doing other things like the band and things like that he wanted to investigate. So my journey then continued. I actually worked for that school and ended up teaching the children's classes there. And like I said, I never would have guessed I would be doing this in my life, being a paralegal, and how things just sort of show up on your path. And you're like, wow, look what am I doing now? I can't believe I'm doing this. So, and it really resonated with me. It felt like home. It felt like a good place to be. And I started really enjoying working with each one of the students, each one of the kids, and seeing what is it that they're lacking, and what is it they possess already that I could make better? What can I do to help them overcome some of these challenges that each one of them have? And each kid has something different. But what's cool is that each kid who's in martial arts gets the same training, but they get what they need for their development. So that's when I was working for that martial arts school, and I worked there about 9 years. And then I thought, want to do things a little bit differently. I want to add in different things. And being not having that as my school, I wasn't always privy to teach the way I wanted to teach, have the certain things in the curriculum that I think that would have enhanced their abilities or help them with their challenges. So I decided to go out on my own and started teaching at rec centers. And so I would spend my time a lot in the car with all my equipment, and I would drive to Hamden Township, where I taught Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays there. And then in Carlisle, I'd teach 2 days there. So I was like the traveling martial arts instructor.
Yeah, so you're like the person you see at the Y in the gym teaching the kids.
Yeah.
Do they pay for that, or is that a free service? I don't know. We don't go to the Y.
The YMCA's all have different martial arts. Some have judo, some have karate, and I'm teaching partly taekwondo. That's Korean martial arts, and also through my training that I've taken at other schools as well, I've incorporated a little judo, some falling arts, hapkido, which is joint locks, and what I'm doing now is with my new curriculum as I moved into my new school is I'm adding other like energy arts called qigong, and I'm finding that very beneficial in helping the children to come to a calm place before we even start class. It helps them ground themselves, and it's like meditation, movement and meditation, qigong. And I'm a student in that as well. So as I'm learning it, I'm embracing it, and then I'm bringing it on the floor to the children as well. So
I won't put you on the spot to do a demonstration of what I'm picturing right now, what they do in the movies, the moving meditation. Is that pretty much it? Yeah. I won't make you do it in front of us. If you want to see her do it, you can have your kids take a class and maybe see it then. But that sounds something that would be relaxing. In my meditation, it's actually kind of a made up version of that. I won't go into that at all right now. But so when you first started, so you took a class with your kids or your kid, and they kind of talked you into taking a class. Once you took the class, what made you like it? And what was it? What were they teaching too? Was it more striking like karate stuff, or was it grappling stuff, or what drew you to it once you started it?
It was a challenge. Taking aerobics, I liked to stay fit. I liked to work out, but this was a whole different animal. You got something out of this. You got self-defense, you got courage, and you learn commitment, and you learn focus and staying in the moment, self-control and discipline, all those things that you don't really get in a fitness class. It's just there 30 minutes, you get fit and you move on. But this was different. And a lot of memorization. It puts you on the spot when you have to test for your belts. It was a great challenge for me. So I think that's why I liked it. And this school, the first school that I was at and actually taught at, just had, there was no grappling in this school. It was strict taekwondo, traditional of hands and foot. So we learned hand techniques and kicking techniques. It wasn't until after I left that school and started taking classes at another martial arts school in the area that I was taught the falling arts. And I saw the value in that because most fights end up on the ground. And I did not want any of my students feeling that they're stuck on the ground and there's nothing they can do. I wanted to give them some tools in that respect too, should they end up on the ground or in a compromising position. So
yeah, if anybody's ever watched a UFC fight, most wins are done on the ground, and I feel like they're always on the ground, leaning against the fence, just hugging up on each other the whole time. But so you're right, and that's definitely something that you have to keep in mind, and that's a good segue actually. So let's tell everybody a little bit about your business in general, and then the first thing I want to talk about after we do that are the different things that you name: the taekwondo, the judo, the hapkido, and just a quick description of what these different things are. So first, give us an overview of your business, where you are now, and what's going on.
Okay. Well, I decided after I left the townships that I really want to have my own space, a place I can put all my equipment, hang my flags on the wall. So I ended up here in Mechanicsburg at 6 Skyport Drive, Suite A in Mechanicsburg. And yeah, I opened up in May. So I'm pretty new here in the area, but it's been a really fun atmosphere. A lot of people have been interested, and it feels like a really nice place in order to teach my students. So
Since you just opened, this is a good opportunity for anybody else out there that might be thinking about opening a fitness studio or a martial arts studio or something similar. What was your experience in starting this? A good question, I guess, is to outfit the space. What did you have to do? That would be my question, maybe.
spend lots of money and use your credit cards.
Is this a warehouse space or
No,
is it like a retail space?
I would have loved to have had a flex space, but I just could not find one. It was really difficult. I was looking in January and just couldn't find one. But I'm in a little strip mall, and it's a nice space. It's about 2,500 square feet. I have 2 rooms. So one's a main room, and then I have a secondary room that could be used for private lessons or another class at the same time. So it really suits me for just opening up, and has lots of windows, so the space is really nice and airy. So,
And do you have to get like mats and equipment and gis, or that what those things are called, or do people even wear those?
Yeah, well, we call them dobok because it's more of a dobok is more Korean. So I've adopted dobok. Gi is Japanese. Yes, we have.
Which is the robe thing for anybody that has no idea what we're talking about.
Robe thing? I don't know.
The robe thing. That's what we're talking about, right?
Oh, the outfit, the uniform.
Yeah.
Yeah, dobok.
I was saying it for all the people out there that have no idea what we're talking about.
What? All martial arts is called karate these days. Just like I'm going to karate class. It could be judo, it could be jujitsu, it could be any of that. So to outfit, yes, I did have to buy mats, and I bought them from an outfit in Wisconsin. So that was shipped to me. As far as the uniforms, I had already been using uniforms, so I knew how to do that, how to supply them with that and get the logo put on the back. What else? All the equipment, most of the equipment I had already had because I was storing it in my car and taking it to my classes with shields and hand targets. What I did not have, which I'm enjoying now, is having floor targets, and those are really, really heavy bags, and they weigh about 300 pounds, 200 pounds, because you put water in the base so that they don't move. When you have good kicks, then it moves it a little bit, but it snaps back pretty quick. So those are the only things that I could not have with my my rec martial arts business. So
I have those punching bags. You just have to run it. You kick it for a while, and then you turn around to the other side and you punch it back the other way because it walks slowly a little bit unless somebody's holding it for you.
It does move. Yeah.
They're great though. I love those things. So in looking for the space, because I know just simply securing the space can be a challenge sometimes. Yeah. How did you go about that? Were you just calling on lease signs? Were you on the internet looking? Did you use a commercial agent? How did you go about that?
All the above. I've had people helping me. I drove around a lot, just getting a feel. I like to use my intuitive sense really to say, this feels like a nice spot. And then I would look in the building. I said, that looks like a good spot. And so I had a couple areas, but always ended up having to go to retail. And I really didn't want retail because it's very expensive. And there's a lot of rules with retail. And I wanted to have a little bit more freedom. So I was just lucky I happened upon this place. I just looked in the window, and it's a smaller strip mall. And so it's not like a really big complex like you'd have at Hampton Commons or anything like that. And so a little smaller, had a better price to it. So that's really how I found it. But I did travel. I drove around a lot every day just to get a sense of where I wanted to land the business, where I thought that it would be a good go-between between my Carlisle clients that I had currently and my Hampton clients. So that's really just how it happened. It just happened upon it.
It's a big decision, and you can always expand and move later if you need to. Or maybe you got rights to the space next to you. Hopefully, if it goes vacant, you can absorb it into yours.
Well, everyone seems to be doing a good business of a nail salon. What's really great for my parents, a nail salon, a tanning salon, and a nice Himalayan grocery store that just opened there. So I think we all make a good mix with each other. So perfect place, perfect timing.
Himalayan grocery store sounds intriguing. I like, what's that restaurant now I can't even think of what that's called. You're making me forget words. Yak and Yeti. That's a Himalayan restaurant in New Cumberland and one in Carlisle now too. My favorite restaurant ever.
I've never been there. Yeah.
Awesome. Kind of like Indian, kind of curryish kind of stuff, but yeah, awesome. And especially, I'm a vegetarian, and they have lots of options without meat that are actually delicious too.
Yeah, so like sauces and vegetables, and I like that.
Yeah, totally. So tell everybody a little bit about, if they come to visit you, what they can get, what services. I know you have classes, you could do parties, and then you also have camps going on summer and otherwise. I'm guessing since you're indoors, you can probably do them other times as well. So just tell us a little bit about what you offer.
Okay. Well, during the week, I offer classes Monday through Friday. Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays are dedicated to 3 different age groups. 3 and 4-year-olds is my first class at 5, and the 5 to 7 after that class is 5:45. And then at 6:45, I have my 8 to 12-year-old classes. Those are Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. And then Tuesdays and Thursdays, I have a different mix. At 4:45, I have my Asperger's children, or children on the spectrum. Those are for the 5 to 7-year-old spectrum classes. After that class is the 8 to 12-year-old spectrum classes. And then after that class, I have a women's empowerment class where we do martial arts, we do self-defense, real situation, self-defense, gun, knife takeaway, or just grabs, holds, things like that. It's really a fun class. So those are the classes that I teach regularly on the schedule. Also, what I offer is, I do summer camps. I had a summer camp in July, and I had it in-house this year. Usually I've had it outside. It was an outdoor obstacle course. And so just moving in, I just didn't have the effort, the time that I could put into getting that obstacle course, because it's a lot of heavy work. You're putting up big obstacles on the grass and you're leaving it up there for the week. But so I had it indoors this year, and we revamped it to make a build your own obstacle course. So we still did really neat activities as far as agility, strength building, things like that in the beginning of class. And then we I would just give them free reign of all my equipment, and they would just build their own obstacle course and then do it for the last 20 minutes of the camp. Also, what I offer is birthday parties, and you can pick the theme. And I do offer a self-defense for young ladies, young men going off to college. If a group wants to learn a little bit about just quick self-defense that you can remember, that might save your life or make you at least aware of what you're doing when you're on campus or when you're by yourself in a parking lot or anything like that. So I'm open to having groups for that, or any group, women realtors or anything. I've been approached with that too. Just things to look for going into a home and it's dark out and you're going to show it, or you're closing up. So I just want to give people a little peace of mind to be more of aware, and just being aware is your first self-defense move. So,
nice. I was going to say, I'm going to ask you for a few tips at the end. So I'm going to let you think about it a little bit. You're like top 3 self-defense tips for the general public. Not right now, but I'm going to ask you again at the end when we do our question, I think. Okay. So going back to the classes, the Monday, Wednesday, Friday, that are kind of the general classes for all the different age groups at 4:45, 5:45, and 6:45, I think you said. Do they learn all 3 of those disciplines, the Taekwondo, the Judo, the Hapkido, and those other ones you said you're going to be integrating? Or do you focus on one thing? Or what do the classes actually look like on those Monday, Wednesday, Friday classes?
So all those things that you mentioned are part of my curriculum. So mostly it's the Taekwondo part that they'll be learning, the blocks, kicks, and strikes that come with Taekwondo. And then, of course, I add in that judo. So we do forward falls, backward falls from a standing position eventually as they grow up into the belts. But we start low and go high. So as they get a little bit more confidence with these kinds of roles. Also, how to defend yourself on the ground. So we don't do a lot of joint locks and things like that you might see in jujitsu. Maybe I'll take some jujitsu classes and start to learn that, or bring a guest instructor in. But at the moment, I'm not teaching those locks and holds at this point. I'm just trying to get them to feel comfortable on the ground with the judo part, rolling, defending themselves in that position. Also, what I'm teaching in my curriculum is the Qigong. That is part of their curriculum. So we do some movements every class, and I'm seeing really good results with that. So this is the first, since I opened in May, this is the first I started using Qigong in class, and I really, really like it. So I'm going to continue with that. And also I added in, yes, did you have a question?
I was going to say the Qigong or Qigong?
It's Qigong. It's spelled Qigong. And it's very similar to Tai Chi. They're sort of integrated, Tai Chi and Qigong. Qigong is the practice of energy, moving energy. So that's what Qi, energy, Gong, the practice of.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. And do the kids like that? I could imagine the kids at first maybe kind of laughing or feeling silly maybe, but then loving it because it's kind of like dancing and you get the wigglies out and all that. So I'd like to see a video of these kids doing Qigong.
I'm working on that. I would like them to do a demonstration at some of the fairs that I do in the area. I really think it's beneficial for the children. It helps them to self-regulate. It gives them another tool that when I'm not with them or their parents aren't with them, how to cope with anxiety, how to handle anger, feeling like you're not enough, your confidence. So you do move around, and I try to make it fun for them because a lot of them have words with it, like rowing the boat, moving the clouds, parting the clouds, things like that they can start to see what they're doing with that energy and stuff. So, but mostly what this does is breath work. It helps the student breathing in and breathing out slowly so that they come down to this stasis, this place of balance. So then we can start learning, and their brains aren't all over the place on what they just did, what they're coming into, what's going on in the studio, what kind of day they had. We just try to clear it. So I have the best opportunity to teach them what I'm trying to teach on the floor for that day.
Yeah,
So.
It sounds like they're learning how to meditate, which is great, there should be classes in school of how to meditate. So it sounds like, they're learning how to visualize and how to block things out and all these things that you learn when you meditate, and they don't even know it. And then one day they'll be I guess they are doing it now. They're meditating right now doing that, right?
Yeah. And meditation, like for me to do meditation, which I thought would be great for them, I would not get the results because meditation on its own is just laying still. But the moving meditation is a lot better for the young children.
Is that an actual definition? Meditation, you have to be still for it to be meditation?
No, I mean, there's many.
Okay.
There's eating meditation. There's walking meditation. There's moving meditation. But meditation, as most people think of it, is sitting still in a chair, right, or in a lotus position, against the wall with your eyes closed and your hands are in that position, that position. So an
uncomfortable position, I will add. I like my meditation positions to be comfortable as possible. That's how I roll.
and that's really the rule. You don't have to be in that lotus position and your legs folded in and things, because if you can't concentrate and you can't relax, you're not ever going to go to that meditative space. So laying down, a lot of people, sometimes you'll see that, like, never lay down. It's like, well, that's how I meditate. I actually lay down so I can get a full relaxation state. Sometimes I do fall asleep, but hey, if that's is that what happens? That's what happens. That's what I needed for that moment. But this really works for the kids, and I'm going to continue evolving through my practice and helping them to evolve through their practice as well as they go up through the belt levels. One more thing as far as the curriculum is that I've added in sign language. So each belt level will learn very basic sign language to help them communicate with the community that we don't really get in contact with a whole lot. So plus it's also a great way to use your hands as memory and memorizing things. So that's helping with the focus as well. So the memorizing of the sign language has been a lot of fun for the kids too.
Yeah,
So,
that's cool. And they can even then when they see each other in public or other, they can talk. I mean, that's super cool. I think that's a nice little addition. I was in Talking Hands, they called it in like elementary school, Talking Hands Club, and then we sang a song and we learned the alphabet. I couldn't tell you any of it now, but
well, that's fun. Yeah.
So are you fluent in sign language?
No, I am not. I'm learning it with them. I just think it's beneficial. I do know the alphabet, and I learned that in elementary school because I was like, we could talk in chorus without the instructor seeing us. So we learned to spell out words and things like that. So that's what got me interested. And plus, there's a couple people in my life that is deaf, and I have another child who's nonverbal who I'm actually teaching in my classes that he's learning sign language. So I wanted to communicate with him better. So I thought this would be a good opportunity for me to bring this in to my martial arts community and into my studio.
That's awesome. So how do you say kick? You got to know how to say kick and punch, I guess, right? Or give us a word. Give us a couple words in sign language.
We're just doing words like yes, no, please,
okay.
Thank you.
What's yes, no, please, thank you?
Yes is this, just the knocking on the door. No. Thank you. Teacher, things like that. The other one takes more of a full body thing. So nice. That's the beginning of like the first belts in my 3 and 4-year-old classes, things like that. And then as they go up into the belt levels, we're going to learn the alphabet. We're going to learn to put phrases together and being able to just feel a little comfortable. At least if you know the alphabet, you can still communicate and spell out words if you need to. So,
yeah. And like I said, it's a pretty cool code language for kids. If you want a code language, we all have some kind of secret language at some point. That would be a really, really cool one. It's a spy one too. No one would ever know.
I never thought of putting words like kick and punch, which would be great. I would just do the sign language and they would have to do it for me on the floor. So thank you for that idea.
That'd be awesome. They're like dogs. No, when I train my dog, every command also has a hand motion. So he could sit, shake, do all that stuff with me, not saying a word, which, yeah. So not calling your students dogs, but I am kind of, I guess. No, I'm not.
It's a different way of learning because now you're not verbal. And I love to do non-verbal as well for the more of the people that watch. I have auditory learners. I have kinetic learners that learn as I move their hands, and then some just watch. So that would be great to just do that and just do your kicks.
Yeah, and they do progress up through belts.
Yes.
And are these belts? Do you pick these? How does that work when you have multiple disciplines at a martial arts studio? Do they get a belt in Hapkido or one of these things, or are they just belts that you make up how they progress through it, or how does that work with the belt system?
Yeah, I have a curriculum for each belt level, and it would progress. And so they would have they have a sheet of paper that I would give them, and they would look at that sheet of paper, and these are the blocks, strikes, and kicks. This is your self-defense move. This is your judo move. These are your sign language moves and qigong. Now the sign language and qigong are not going to be that integral, like they have to do it perfectly for me to advance them. It's more or less for the martial arts part of it, but just having a basic understanding of what they're trying to learn. they're going to be more proficient as they go up through the belt levels. And I do try to stay with the Taekwondo belt levels of the low and high belts, the colors that would correspond with other schools, so that they could go to tournaments and they'd be recognized as a yellow belt would be like a lower belt, and the higher belts being red, brown. And every school is very different on how they approach that. So it would just be based on the curriculum and the requirements on each belt level that they're learning.
Gotcha. That makes sense. And I've always loved the belt system in martial arts because everybody wants to get that next belt, and it gives you a very clear goal. And if what you have to do to get that belt is also spelled out, it gives you clear goals of things to achieve. And it gives again, accomplishment, sense of accomplishment and confidence and self-esteem along the way when you're and then you can also help people younger than you, right?
Right. It's a journey. And the small steps help the children to have short-term goals. As they get older and they're going through the belts, they've already surpassed some of that self-control, that discipline that they needed to cultivate. So now they start to get into the strength, the integrity, perseverance, those more mature parts of one's being that are starting to come out, being authentic, being okay with who they are, knowing where they're falling short, and knowing what gifts they're coming into the world with, and how they can share that with others without ego, and sharing it from a place of heart. So that's what I love about the martial arts too. It's just it's a community. We all help each other. The students are always willing to help the younger students, and the new students coming in. I always put the higher belts with the lower students, and they're great teachers, and it resonates, and they make good friends here too, and like-minded. So
yeah, I love that aspect of it, and all over your website and everything you say. You talk about building self-esteem and confidence and everything, and a lot of that doesn't even have to do with martial arts in general. You're doing it via martial arts, but it has to do with some other things. So talk a little bit. We're running out of time, but I do want to hit on, everybody can hit up your website and see all your services and classes and all that, and we can find that, and we're going to give everybody the information. But I want to touch on a little bit more, because you started to a little bit already, on how do you think martial arts or similar things build confidence? What is it about doing martial arts or some similar thing that builds confidence in children? And I will add also that they do say the age 7 is the year of decision or something like that. So age 7 is the year of decision, when they're conscious enough of the world around them that they're starting to make decisions that will be kind of a decision that rules who they are for the rest of their lives. So you're teaching them right in that span of when kids are kind of deciding who they're going to be for the rest of their life. So I know that was a ramble. Touch on a little bit for a minute or two on how martial arts and similar things help kids achieve confidence, yada, yada.
All right. So when children are young, they come into the world with different aspects of themselves that I call challenges. And challenges could be sitting still, being impulsive, not being communicative, being within your shell, having a low confidence, or not being able to stand up for yourself, having focusing issues, like always looking at all the different things that are around them and they just can't focus. Some kids are really sensitive too. They pick up on everyone else's energy, so they can't tune into their own. So every student that comes into the school has a challenge. And the beauty of that is that I can see what that challenge is almost immediately on the floor of the first class. And then I start to go to work on that, on how I can help them overcome those challenges. And with the martial arts, it works on every single child that comes into the school. Whether you have a child that's gregarious and over the top and wants to be the showboat and get all the attention, or you have one that's in the corner.
Are you talking about me?
Is that what you're the showboat?
I don't know. I probably want to, but then I wouldn't be, is kind of how I am maybe.
But the showboat child, I don't want to take that from them, but I want to cultivate a balance with that. So there's a time for that. There's a time for you can shine, And then there's a time that you just need to be the listener. You need to take in instead of giving out. So, and then with the child, the opposite child on the floor of having the confidence issues, it's every kick that they do, every punch that they do, every block that they do is memory. And with that memory, they build on that memory. And then they do it better and better and better. And then I ask them to do a combination with those kicks and blocks and strikes. And then they go to another level. Then they go to another. And so it never ends. And that's where the journey comes in martial arts. You're always adding layers. And when you really get up to the really high level of the black belt and beyond, because you never stop learning, is the spiritual part that comes in. And that's where that energy comes in with the Qigong and just being water, as Bruce Lee would say, of just allowing yourself to just be in that moment, and you will have whatever you need to take care of yourself at that very moment. Just having a peace about you and walking around. So that's what I find really lovely about working with the children, is that I can see their spark. I can see their potential. I'm here to help them get over the challenges of the focus, discipline, doing what's expected of them on the floor and at home and school, control, self-control, how hard, how soft, when to listen, when not to listen. And I also add those words to every belt level. So if you come in as a white belt, your first word would be discipline. And you would have to show me first that you have good discipline to move on to that next belt level. And also you need to tell me what discipline means to you at school, what rules you have to follow, what things you have to do at home that's discipline, doing things that you're expected to do without being told to do so over and over again, and then at the studio. So I'm trying to get them to be more responsible at home and to take responsibility for their actions as well, and know what consequences are. They make choices and they're not so good, they got a consequence, they had a learning. So it's all part of life, right? So I just help.
Super important. And kids get that in a lot of different sports. And a nice thing that I like martial arts, and I'm into rock climbing and things like that, is it gives an alternative also to those kids who aren't into the football or the basketball or the baseball or anything. They can still be involved in something that gives them teaches them discipline, teaches them to work through pain, teaches them all these multitude of things that sports and active things teach kids. It gives the outlet to those who may not want to do the other things, or if they like the other things, they can still do this as well. But that's what I like about it. And when you're good at something, it does whatever it is. It gives you confidence when you talk to other people, because you kind of feel like you have something above them, or you're good at something that better than they are at something. Or I don't know if I'm describing it the right way, but being good at something just makes you feel good because you know you're good at something. That's why a basketball player feels good about himself, because he's awesome at basketball. Well, for other reasons too, but I think you get what I'm saying. So before we run out of time, I'm going to make you we got 2.5 minutes, so we got to do our funny question. Pick a number between 1 and 350.
350.
Oh, went right for the top. All right. I'm going to have to grab the thingy to scroll down. All right. What two films would you like to combine into one? What two films would you like to combine into one film? That's kind of weird. Can you even answer it in 30 seconds or less?
Two films into one.
I know there are a couple films that I would probably separate into two, maybe like Dances with Wolves, or like any of these really long movies. Maybe it could be a series or something.
I'm blanking out on movies. I don't watch a whole lot of movies.
Oh yeah, you said that before, and we ended up getting a question.
Maybe like Karate Kid with an Avengers.
Yeah, here's a question. I got a question for you. I even wrote it down. Did Cobra Kai, the TV show on Netflix, which used to be on YouTube, didn't catch on until they put it on Netflix? Did that spark? Do you have any students whose parents said, "We watched Cobra Kai, and now my kids want to do this"?
TV has a huge influence on kids, whether it's superheroes or some kids just come into this world kicking and punching. And I've had parents come and say, he is bugging me to do karate. and we've never done it before. And I don't know where he's getting it. It's just, and it's intuitive sense. So I think that's really cool when a kid comes in like that, but mostly it's like a movie, Avengers, the Cobra Kais, the Karate Kids, even the kids programs on Netflix or I don't know what the kids programs are these days, but I do know that they do have an influence on the children. So
yeah, nice. Well, that's cool, and I love that show right now. I watched it on YouTube before it caught on, but I'm seeing we have about 30 seconds left, so I'm gonna breeze through the end of this to finish it before we get to 60 minutes, so I can get it on IG. Everybody can see her information up there. You can reach out, go to the website. If you want to do an episode with me, hit me up. Join our Facebook group. Contact me if you need to buy or sell a home. And that's about all we got time for. Say goodbye really quickly. See you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.